The general consensus is Cobra's back. We've talked about this unicorn driver a lot over the years. That would be Cobra's LTDx driver. This is a driver where if you look at one that almost any golfer could benefit from, this is that LTDx. It was incredibly forgiving all over the face. And we wondered, like, how do you improve upon that driver? So Cobra with Aerojet, it regressed back to the mean. But now we're starting to see this trend of the return of the unicorn driver with Darkspeed. We tested it, tested all the different lofts. We're talking about the LS, the Max, and the X. All of them performed really well. What really impressed you about these drivers during robot testing?
We test 9 points: center toe and heel, half-inch high center toe and heel, half-inch low center toe and heel. So we cover 90% of that face. And then we take the 8 points off of the center and we average what the distance drop off is. Average drivers 10 to 11 yards. The LTDx we talked about was 5. This driver is 6.8 across all lofts on the Max. They're back as far as distance drop off. They also had an incredibly tight dispersion pattern. They only averaged 10 yards on off-center hits off of the center line. The ball went straight and it didn't drop off very much. Lower launching, lower spinning as well.
Yeah. RB, the obvious question is, this still has the hot face. Not changing a ton, you would think when you look at it from Aerojet. I know the cosmetics are different. Why? Why is this driver so much better than Aerojet?
I think the biggest thing is it's not about what the technology is, but it's how you use that technology, how you utilize it. When you're able to refine looking at different models, how they interact with different golfers. What they've done with this driver is they've adjusted the power bridge, created more flex along the face to give it forgiveness around the outside. And then a big part of this as well is geometry. If you were to take the previous driver and set it up towards the Darkspeed now, side by side, they look very different. And that geometry, not only with the aerodynamics package that is in it, especially into the LS and into the 8-degree LS, which is even more aerodynamically shaped and an extremely, extremely low spin driver. This technology, when it's adjusted, you get the center of gravity adjustment, you get the aerodynamics, all of those things, all those little things, all those little levers that engineers and designers can pull add up to a better product, and they apply that to all 3 models.
Yeah. Gene, I want to get into specific models because we're testing all the different lofts at 95. We're able to get a much fuller picture of what's going on. 9-degree Darkspeed Max driver.
Ooh.
That driver does one thing in particular that a lot of golfers do.
The major miss for most amateur players is high toe when you miss. This club, when we raised it on the face half-inch center, we gained a yard. And then when we went out 3/4 of an inch towards the toe, we lost 0.3 of a yard, basically nothing. There was no drop off on high toe, which is exceptional. And across the board on all of the Max drivers, there was minimal loss of distance. So if you have a little over the top swing and hit the ball on the toe, this is a driver definitely to take a look at.
Yeah, and if you're looking at just overall forgiveness on these drivers, we talked about like a sub 7-yard number with Darkspeed.
Yeah,
I mean,
that is a good number.
If you look back at where they were just 1 year ago with Aerojet, they were anywhere from 11 yards to 14 yards.
Yes.
I mean, this is a massive improvement for them in
Right.
overall forgiveness. But as you mentioned, when you're looking at the areas where golfers want to see that ball speed retention, to be able to see it in a high toe miss, especially in a Max product, like that's going to be a pretty common driver for a lot of golfers out there that are going to gravitate. If they're going to pick up a Cobra driver, that's when they're going to gravitate towards. To be able to have almost no distance drop off on that high toe,
well,
awesome.
And the other interesting thing about it is usually you sacrifice when you get distance drop off gains. Drivers can be a little spinnier. They aren't quite as long. This driver's a rocket ship. It's a low spinning driver as well. So it's definitely one to take a look at.
Yeah, another model that I want to point out, which is the Darkspeed X. It's going to be more of their draw bias product. Also had a really tight forgiveness number. It was around 7 yards. Really, really good. The LS, again, this is going to be something that a lot of higher swing speed guys were swinging at 95, still saw some really good numbers, but I feel like with this one, it's more about that lower launch you're going to see.
Totally agree. All of the LS products, to be honest with you, and anything tour related, you need to be over 100, realistically over 105 miles an hour at club head speed to really start maximizing those products.
Yeah, so the general consensus is Cobra's back. This is the closest thing we've seen to the LTD models. And if you're somebody that doesn't hit it right out of the middle, I think all these models, whether it's the Max, the X, the LS, they're gonna all benefit your game.